Now, here is something for the books. Barney Huber was a boy who didn't get along too well with anybody, even his own half-brother. And he and Harold just liked each other so much, and they used to go to basketball games and roller skating.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they got along
And
so
when
well.
we had that earthquake in Long Beach, Harold and Barney were walking along the sidewalk together, and all of a sudden the sidewalk went up and down.
Right, and wasn't the ground making a
That's
crack?
right.
Wasn't there a crack in the
That's
ground?
right. And the two of them didn't know what was going on, so they just stopped walking. And I said to Harold, "Did you think of earthquake?" He says, "Neither Barney or I did. We didn't even talk about it."
That was so scary.
It was just a shocking
Yes.
experience.
Now, where were you when that happened?
I was at home, and the whole house shook, and I wasn't going to stay in that house and have it fold up over us, you know. So I told you to go out in the front yard, because it was a big front yard.
Right.
And
Yes,
there
I
were no
remember.
buildings real close. And I grabbed her and ran outside too. And we just waited it out in the yard with the neighbors.
Right.
Everybody gathered in that circle where there were
It's
just
everybody.
trees and flowers and no houses.
That's right.
And
it's
it
an
was a
open
perfect
space.
spot.
Right.
And I was wondering where Harold or Midgie were.
Yes.
Now, Midgie had gone to visit some friends in Los Angeles,
Oh.
and they said she panicked.
Oh no.
She panicked.
Well,
Oh,
must
poor
have been scary.
thing.
Yeah, because she wasn't used to anything
No,
like
we had just
that.
come from Germany
Yes.
not too long ago,
Yeah.
you know, and so we weren't used to that.
Well, how old were you, Anita?
I was about 8 or 9.
8 or 9, so that was
Yes.
like, what, 19...
Not, it was, you were 19, when were you born? 1935, 30, maybe
30.
37,
I was born in
38.
30.
Oh, 30.
This-
30, so
this-
32,
This
33.
this was
Oh, this
in 32.
was in 32 or 33.
Yes.
Someplace in
Yes.
there.
That was before I met Grandpa.
That's
and,
right.
And where
yes.
were you in that earthquake? Were you in Arcadia or
In Sierra Madre.
Sierra Madre, that's the name I couldn't
Yeah.
remember.
That's
Sierra
where I
Madre.
went.
And where was Harold at that time, walking down
Well-
when Harold was walking down the street? Where
In
was
Sierra Madre.
in Sierra Madre?
Sierra Madre.
We had just finished dinner, hadn't we? Just eaten dinner? I think we had
Yes.
just eaten dinner when it came.
Yes.
And he had gone outside, he had finished his dinner,
That's
so
right.
he went for a walk.
Yeah.
And
You said you went around and you saw the sides of the buildings.
the next day, remember, we went, I don't remember who drove us, but somebody drove us around, and we would see, there would be a pile of dust, and then there'd be a couple of houses, and then there'd be another pile of dust. Do you remember that? All the houses that were...
That was in Long Beach.
That was in Long Beach?
Yeah.
Nothing was destroyed in Sierra Madre.
Come to think of it, I didn't. No, that must have been in 33.
33.
Yes, because I did know Grandpa, because Grandpa was
It was
staying
Grandpa
on the
that drove
boat.
us. Yes.
Yes, he was staying on the boat, on Bab's boat,
That's it.
on the
I
Child,
thought it was him that
on the
drove us
Pacific,
around.
on the Pacific Child,
Oh.
and he took us down to Long Beach and showed us.
He
Oh.
was
Yes.
I thought it was him.
Yes.
Now you said you saw the sides of buildings were torn down and you could see people's bathrooms.
Well,
and things.
Yes.
the whole front fell off.
That's right. I remember that too.
The whole front, there was a hotel, and there were bathtubs, you know, just looking down
Yes,
on you,
yes.
and you could see everything that was going on. And the whole front just fell off.
You know
Yes.
something?
Yes.
Now didn't Gramps say that he was out on the boat when it hit?
Yes, and it felt as if a giant got a hold of the key of the bottom of the boat and shook it sideways.
Oh, sideways.
Not this way.
Oh, yeah.
Not back and forth.
Sideways,
Oh
yeah.
my God.
And right away he thought, that's an earthquake.
Oh, he knew
Oh,
it.
he knew.
He knew, because he had been in earthquakes
Yeah.
before.
Now, see, that would be dangerous too, to be in the water because of tidal waves and so
Yeah.
forth.
That's
Yeah.
right, yeah.
But that was that
Oh.
was a day.
Now, see, we were in that
And
real
he-
bad earthquake.
He was wondering about us,
Oh,
and
yes.
we were wondering about him, you know.
Right.
So he came up that evening, and he stayed at Huber's overnight,
Oh.
and he came over the next morning, picked up the whole family, and took us all
That's
down
when we saw the
Oh.
destruction.
to,
Yes.
And yeah,
Long Beach.
we were in that earthquake, and then we were in that real bad flood when they had it too.
In 1938.
The flood
Burbank.
when we were in Burbank. Remember, we were in
Oh,
that
yes.
flood too. You know, that
Yes.
real bad flood they had. So we were in
Yes.
two pretty good disasters.
That's right, because I remember Gramps was working on that. He was an engineer or something, and the
He
floods
was
went.
working on the Los
the
Angeles
flood.
River or
There was a
something.
flood.
Remember Ralph Bellamy's home was
Yes.
washed away?
Down the
Oh,
river.
and tell
yes.
about.
The Los Angeles River
Yes.
was flooded, and it just tore that whole home down, you know,
Oh.
and into the river, and everything was gone.
Good.
And
Except.
the wine and the silver.
Oh, the wine in the cellar.
Yeah.
How
And what happened to
amazing.
what happened to it?
It was in the vault,
Was in a vault.
In a
in the
vault.
vault.
And the vault was.
And he came to Grandpa because Grandpa was the superintendent engineer
I see.
on the job. And he came and asked Grandpa if he had seen the vault, and Grandpa did. And Grandpa said to Ralph,
Yes.
he said, I can guarantee you that the silver is in good shape, but
Oh,
I cannot give you my word about the wine
Oh.
and the liquor.
oh.
And he was right,
Oh.
because he just didn't have the control.
Right.
The men who were working there and had dug out the vault out of the river
Yes.
had helped themselves to whiskey, scotch, and all those high, expensive liquors, you know,
Yes.
that he had, and wine. And I remember one fella, and Grandpa wouldn't have any of it. He said, I don't want any part of this. This is not mine, and I don't want it. And he told Ralph, and Ralph said to him, Mr. Hargraves, I don't care that much for the liquor.
Right.
They can have it all. We won't even mention it. But he says, I would like to have my silver because it's way back in the family.
Oh.
It was the family
An
silver.
heirloom. I
Yeah.
see.
So Grandpa had the vault raised, and Ralph had it taken away somehow.
How interesting.
Anyway, he got all his silver intact.
How
and
interesting. Isn't that
What,
interesting?
what
that's a
happened?
good-
What happened to the other
The
stuff? He
bottles
didn't
disappeared.
care.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there was a fellow there whose wife and daughter used to come and see us. They were skinny women. I don't know if you remember them. And he had a bottle or two, I don't know, maybe more, of that stuff. And one morning he came and he forced one on Grandpa, and Grandpa finally kept it. I think it was some wine we had it with the dinner. But Gramps never forgot that
Isn't
conversation
that
with Ralph
really?
Bellamy.
Isn't that
Yeah.
something?
That's interesting.
Yeah. But you know, I went down to take a look, and you couldn't see anything where the house had been even.
Oh, isn't that awful?
The water had just washed it right.
Yeah, that was a
Off
trouble
the
flood.
bank.
Oh, that
Terrible
was.
flood,
Yes.
Yeah.
They had to evacuate
Oh,
all the
those-
schools.
Yeah.
Those floods were terrible.
Yeah.